Um, there are three major things I usually do when it seems like I keep praying and praying about a particular thing and it seems like God is not answering. The first thing I do is you know guilt. Guilt actually it disturbs the heart. It will make you not be at peace. And once there is no peace, trust me, the spirit of God will not dwell anywhere there is no peace. So I make sure I beg God for forgiveness. And if I offended anybody, I move to the person, I'll go to the person and I'll apologize, you know, and then I beg God for forgiveness. Then, the moment the person I've wronged has forgiven me, and and I've actually talked to God about how I've sinned and how I need Him to forgive me, I go deep in prayer and I pray for forgiveness of sins. Once I'm done with that, you realize that there's this peace you feel inside your heart, you know. Whether God has forgiven or not, the thing is, we're not in heaven or we're not God to know if He has forgiven us or not, but there's this peace you feel. There's this peace you feel inside you. So that's the first step I take. And then, secondly, I also have to be sure that I've forgiven those that have wronged me. You know, that's the second thing I do. Those that have wronged me. Let me give you an example. There's this friend of mine that was pursuing a particular contract. He's into all these building construction, they build houses for people. And there's this particular government contract he's been pursuing. It was supposed to give him a lot of money. And then it was like he always come to me and lament, oh, I've sent the right documents, and I don't know what's going on. And I even join him in prayers. We pray about it. We waited for this was like almost 4 months and nothing was happening. This guy is a very dedicated Christian, like he's very dedicated. He was even the one that led me to Christ. That's how dedicated he is. Then one day I was like asking God, this guy that is this good, you know, he serves you truthfully and honestly. So why wouldn't you do this for him? And then my mind clicked. Something came to my mind. I remembered like few months before then, he told me about the issues he had with his sister, his elder sister. You know, she disappointed him. There was something, I won't really go into details, but she really did something very terrible to him. And he stopped talking to her just like that. They stopped communicating. And sometimes I'll be like, oh, try and call her. I'll be like, no, no, no. That this hurts so much that I'll try to forgive her, but I can't forget, I can't talk to her anymore. And I'm like, no, 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 just try. She even duped her, she hurt him and duped my friend of a huge amount of money. And then she wasn't remorseful about it, no remorse at all. So for you to understand how deeply she hurt the brother. So I kind of I understood where he was coming from. I could just imagine if I was the one. And for someone you had great expectations, with someone you expected that wouldn't be like strangers, and then she treats you that way. That's enough to really feel hurt. So so I kept telling him about her, and then I forgot about it. I was like, oh no, that's I understand where this guy is coming from. So the other day, back to the day I was communicating with God about this guy, you know. So it clicked. Something came to my. It kept coming to my mind that, oh, tell this guy that I should call the sister. They should make up. I was like, this same issue again. We already talked about it, and he wasn't yielding at all. He didn't want to. So why would I go further? I can't push. And my mind kept telling me, talk to this guy to make up with the sister. Then I had to call him. Like I think few days after I kept having those feelings. I called him, I told him, see, that I was praying for you about the contracting and this thing kept crossing my mind, you know. It kept crossing my mind that you need to make up with your sister. He said, "Oh, that I told him, see, just do what God has said, you know, just make up with her. She has been the one that wronged you. She never even called you to apologize. Just try. This is something that is very hard. Normally, this is very hard for anybody to condone. Yeah, but I told him, see, you know what you're expecting. I know that unforgiveness can block blessings. Just go ahead." So this guy listened to me. Thank God he did. And he called the sister. He told her, "Oh, I forgive you." The sister started crying on the phone. I was like, "Oh, my conscience has been pricked. I don't know how to call you. I was too scared to call you." I know some of us are like that. We're too scared to call people when we've wronged them. And we don't know that's the right thing to do, to actually call and apologize. But some of us, we just feel, I don't know what I should call it, fear. Fear to apologize or fear to call the person, how the person will react. But the right thing, go and make that call. Call the person, apologize, please. Very important. So she said that was the reason why she didn't call. She was feeling too guilty about the whole thing. So that was how they made up. The sister apologized and everything. They made up. They even got to see, they fixed a day. She traveled, came to his city and apologized. Apologized and they had to hang out and everything. So just barely few days after they met up in his city, just barely few days, this guy called me and said, "Ify, I guess what? And they called him. That in short, that day he called the sister on phone. That evening he got an email that he should schedule a meeting at the government house. And he thought maybe it was a joke or just all those normal tricks. So just like that, the few days after the email, he went for the beating and the contract clicked. It was even better than he expected, just like that. He told me, "Ify, it's as if my sister's the issue I had with my sister was what was blocking my blessing, why God couldn't answer my prayer." And that was it. So I always remember my friends, what happened to my friend whenever I'm begging, it seems like I keep asking God for a particular thing and it's not working. I'm like, to forgive those that have wronged me. It's not just to beg God for forgiveness and say, "Oh God, just forgive me for my own sins." Forgive those that wronged you, even when it's so hard. Because it's for your own peace of mind. Honestly, it's for your own peace of mind. It gives you peace when you know that you don't bear any grudge against anybody. The thing is, you don't necessarily need to be friends with the person. You don't still need to be friends with the person, but at least for your own peace, you know, just make up. So the third thing I usually do is I check if God has, and sometimes let's say we're asking for bread and God has given us a bakery, we're not even aware. And we'll be like, bakery to start baking bread from the scratch. Something like that. You're asking for smaller thing and God has given you something bigger, but you've not realized it because you are still looking at that particular thing. The bread, that's what I need from you, God. Not knowing that He has given you a big bakery. Bake all kinds of bread, any quantity you want. So this is another thing that I always, this third one is very important. And most times when I check it this way, I realize that God has answered my prayers in another way. Not the way I'm expecting, but another different way that is actually better than what my expectations was or were before. So when I think deep and then I check around me, I'm asking God for this, for fruit of the womb, for the husband, for this and this. Oh, what if this brother around me, as my friend, what if he's the one and I've not realized it? What if I'm supposed to do this? God is directing me to do a particular thing and I've not realized all what I'm supposed to do. So these are the three major things. We can't just continue praying every day. God, please answer me, do this and do this. Check these three things. If you've ticked the three boxes, and then that thing is not working out, then just be patient. Be patient. God will really answer your prayers. And make sure you're attentive at that point of prayer to be sure that, okay, when He gives you a sign, you see that it's a sign. Thank you for listening.